So last week, I got my teeth cleaned. Well, during the pandemic, none of that was happening. So I am very excited. Now every 6 months, I get to get my teeth cleaned once again. And my dental hygienist, her name is Modesta. She is a delight in this world. We only see each other once every 6 months, and there's a lot of but we communicate and we love each other. And, we were catching up on family and what was going on and all of the things. And she has a daughter who's graduating from college. And so we're, in many ways, in a very similar place in our lives and in our journey. And she said to me, the last time you were here, I remember you were talking about your trip to Japan. You were talking about that experience. And she said, we're thinking about going, my husband and I, and we're thinking about taking our daughter and wondering, what you might recommend. And so I was like, Kyoto, but we were talking, I kid, but we were chatting and we were talking about it. And I shared with her all the places that I would recommend. And then I said to her, another place we had planned, it was actually Liza's request that we go to Hiroshima, not only to pay our respects, but I also wanted to learn more about Sadako, the young girl who created the paper peace crane movement across the world. There are some peace cranes here. I don't know if you can get a shot of that, Shayla, that we have here in the sanctuary. And of course, all of you in Colorado, there are thousands of peace cranes that we created there, carrying on this tradition of spreading love and peace into the world by sharing a paper crane. And so I shared with her the impact of what it was like to go to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. And then as I sort of couldn't talk anymore because she was cleaning my teeth, I was remembering the collective experience of that, of going with a group of people who just happened to be visiting that peace memorial that same day that we were there, and how we went through this powerful and moving and profound exhibition about what occurred there with videos and images. It was hard, it was difficult, and it was important. And as I was sitting in the dental chair, I had been reflecting on the fact that I only see Modesta once every 6 months, and yet we have this connection. And that led me to the connection that I felt with every other human being who was seeing that incredible exhibition in Hiroshima that day. All different languages were being spoken, and yet we shared something so deep and so profound. There was a community that was created in that museum for that one day, for those few hours. And then when I left, that was still in my mind and in my heart, and I was reflecting on that, and then I was running some errands, and so I left Modesta, gave her a hug, said goodbye, went to CVS to pick up a couple of things. I needed lotion and this and that, and I was in the aisle, and there was a woman who was in a wheelchair and had sort of come by, and I sort of smiled at her, and she went to another aisle, and she was asking for assistance. There was a particular color of lipstick that she wanted, and it was clear that she had a challenge with speaking and making herself known, making her words known, rather. And so I just instinctively kind of turned around, because I just wanted, like I know so many of you, I wanted to be able to assist if I could. I didn't know if the young girl, very young girl there, how she would respond. And just as I turned my body, the young girl could not have been more gracious and more patient with this woman, and more kind and more compassionate with her in that moment. This girl couldn't have been more than 18, 19 maybe. And it brought tears to my eyes, because I thought, isn't that the most beautiful thing? That could have gone a lot of different ways. And isn't that the most beautiful thing? She was so honoring, and it was great, and she got her the lipstick, and it was fantastic. That moment of community, as Reverend Knoll used to call it, common unity. In that moment, seeming strangers, connecting with so much grace and so much beauty. And then when I finished getting my things at CVS and I was hungry and I had other errands, and so I thought, well, I'm going to stop at a little cafe and get some nosh, and I sat down. It was like a coffee shop, and I sat down, and everyone is on their phones or on their laptops in their own bubble, right? And in walks a parent. In this particular instance, it was a mama with many little children. I was like, oh, I remember those days. Many children in tow. And she had one here and one in the stroller and crying and fussing and tired and all of those things. And she came in, and I was just sort of sending my love as I was observing, and as, one might do. And she goes over to the table, and there was all the tables were taken. There was one table and no chairs. All this woman had to do, she just walked over, and she just looked up, and everyone went, oof! And everyone just here you go, here you are. Can I get you anything? What do you need? What do you need? Can I help you? What do you need? Common unity. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I thought to myself, if I had been buried in my phone, or I had just sort of, on automatic pilot gotten up, and I would have missed that moment, the blessing of that moment. In the Christian Bible in Romans, it says, we are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. We are many parts, all of us, of one body in our teaching. That would be the body of love, the unity of love, of life itself. And we belong to each other. Mother Teresa, of course, made it very famous when she said, if there is no peace, we have forgotten that we belong to each other. Indigenous cultures for millennia have known this, have practiced the belonging that we have with each other. We all belong to each other. There is a common unity, love you, Rev Noel, that is happening all the time. And we have an opportunity to wake up to it, to remember it, to see it, to create it, to co-create it. So, to this, I would like to invite you all to think for a moment of something, just anything, that you have achieved in your life, a milestone, something that was originally a divine idea, as we would call here, a seed idea. Maybe it was to partner with someone, to start a family, to retire, to have a creative expression out into the world. Maybe it was to go back to school, to finish school, to whatever it is for you. I know we have a practitioner, Dana Montgomery and Andrew are building their dream home right now on the coast. And it's such a joy to see them in this process, right? I remember years and years and years and years ago when Dana shared with me that was a dream of hers. And now she posts online and we get to see the windows went in and all of this wonderful stuff, right? Whatever that is for you, think of something that you are on the other side of, that you have done, that you have achieved, that you've put out into the world, that you have satisfaction around. We all have something. Unless you're 5, you have something. So hold that in your heart for a moment, whatever that is for you. And just pick one. Many of us have several. Just pick one. Maybe the biggest. Now, I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about all of the setbacks that happened along the way when the universe was pushing pause, perhaps against what you wanted. Perhaps someone said no or held back, or maybe there was concern around health or funding or whatever. Perhaps you needed childcare. Who knows? Whatever the thing was. Think about the setbacks along the way. And now, I invite you to remember the humans, The people that were part of the body of this thing that you co-created with the divine, who helped you through those setbacks. Family members, friends that you knew, but also those you didn't know. Those you didn't know. The people who opened the door. The people who planted the seed. The people who said, you can do that. Of course you can do that. I will help you. I'll make that phone call. I'll write that recommendation letter. I will help pave that way for you for whatever that thing is. I'll babysit. Think about that for a moment. Think about all of the people who you knew and who you still don't know who helped to create that, to bring that to manifestation for you. That is the common unity that I'm talking about today. It is the common unity, and we miss it, that community. We are creating and co-creating community all the time, and there are various kinds of community that look different. There was community that happened in that coffee shop when we all jumped up to help that mama. There was community at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. There was community that happened on the way to the creation of the thing for you. Our job as people on a spiritual path, it does not matter what kind of spiritual path you are on, as long as it is dedicated to love. Whatever the spiritual path is, it is about recognizing the angels among us, recognizing our oneness and our interconnectedness that is happening all of the time. Are you with me? All the time. All the time. Yes, amen. There is a woman by the name of Dr. Julianne Holt Lundstadt. And in 2010, she decided to study loneliness and isolation. And she did a groundbreaking study at that time, over 300,000 people. She then redid the study in 2015 with 3.5 million people and found the same thing. And basically, our well-being, our health, our longevity is dependent upon our social connections with one another. She is the person who discovered, she and her team discovered that loneliness and isolation can have such a detriment to our physical health, it is equal to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. That is how important connection and community is. We are reliant on it to live, to survive. So in January of this year, I made a commitment to myself for self-care, and one of the things that I decided I was going to do is I was going to get a regular massage. Shelley knows. I told her, it's a big deal. I hadn't had one in 6 years. But I knew it would be really good for my back. It would be really, really healthy and really good for me. And I have been doing it consistently. And last month, maybe 6 weeks ago, my massage therapist, Janine, I love you, Janine. Again, a situation where we don't talk very much. I show up, she says what's hurting, I let her know, and then I get this amazing, incredible healing experience, right? So I'm on the table, face down, and she says, "Are you aware that you have an irregular mole?" I said, "No, I can't see back there." She said, "You know what, honey, you need to go to the dermatologist immediately. Not to scare you, but you need to go to the dermatologist immediately." I went, the dermatologist said, "Oh my goodness, we're taking this right out." They came back with the test results and said, "Shannon, the good news is it wasn't cancerous. However, it was very, very precancerous. You have to come back in. We're going to have a surgeon go in and take all of it out just to make sure. I still have stitches." Janine potentially saved my life. Being in community saves us. It saves us. And so creating community, consciously creating community, is not only an act of survival, but it is an act of spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence. The great Dorothy Day said, "We have all known the long loneliness, and we have found that the answer is community." We have all known the long loneliness, and we have found that the answer is community. And if you are an introvert or really shy, I get it. I'm with you. And community is just as important for you in the way that you want to create that as it is for the most extroverted among us. So, just like the thing that I invited you to consider, that which you have achieved in your life and all of the people that supported you through that experience that you knew and didn't know, just like that, we are having together this incredible collective experience called NTCSL Colorado. It's the same thing. When I arrived here in 2019, I stood here and said to you, this message is so important. This transformation is so important, not only for us individually, but for the planet, for social justice, for all of the reasons that we are going to figure out. We're going to find a way to make this message global. We're going to figure it out. I had no idea, none, how that was going to happen. And with this teaching, being in community with beloveds who held that vision with me, we did it together. And over time, we now have a global community. This was before COVID. It's extraordinary how things line up, isn't it? Can we just take a deep breath for a minute and recognize this benevolent, loving universe that is always on our side, that is always wanting to say yes as long as it does not hurt or harm anyone? It is an extraordinary thing. It is an extraordinary time to be alive. And every single one of us has incarnated at this time to participate in the healing and the common unity of this world. And so with that, John, can you please share? Early in the morning, Annette filmed a little video. I think it's mostly of the practitioners at the time. John, would you please share the video of our beloveds in Colorado so we can bring them into the room?
Good morning, NTCSL. We are here together live. This is NTCSL Colorado, and we're thrilled to be with you this morning. We have people from all over Metro Denver coming to join us. We have our Colorado practitioners here, and we're so excited to be gathering for the first time live and in person. We can actually touch one another. It's awesome. So thank you, Reverend Shannon, for giving us this time this morning to just say hello. We look forward to being in service with you today. We are so connected to you, heart to heart. See you soon. Love you all.
Love you.
Love you.
NTCSL.
Make sure that we could get that video. Isn't that beautiful? That was a divine idea in 2019. We had absolutely no idea how it was going to happen. I want to share with you that folks during that time started gathering and watching us online, and they started coming back, and they started taking classes, and they started participating. Many of you discovered us at that time, yes? And I remember at one point saying to Shelley, well, I don't know, when we get back in the building, I have no idea how we are going to continue, because at that time we were filming from on our phones, in our office, outside, backyard. Y'all were so patient and loving and kind. And when we were planning to come back here, We said, well, we don't know. We don't have the cameras and the lights and the background to do that. And an angel said, you know what? Here's a gift. Here's a financial gift. Yes, I'll help you. Yes. There were so many things. This team of people, you cannot imagine the many times they said, yes, Brian, I can record that song on my phone in my living room for that service. Sure, Shans. Thank you, brother. You know, so that is the common unity. We're having a community meeting today after service. We are going to be celebrating the past 6 months, all that we've done, and all that we are setting the groundwork to do over the next 6 months. All of the goodness in this community. One of the things that I love the most about this community is our dedication to helping make the world a better place for all people. For all people. I want you to know that I asked Rev Sally, and we decided we're going to be giving to Maui Red Cross. So know that a portion of what you give is going to go to support them. And also we're starting a new program, and the NTCSL Colorado folks are doing this with us in the state of Colorado. So we're going to be doing it here and there. It's called Blessings in a Backpack. I nearly fell off my chair when I discovered that it's estimated, and they think this is an underestimation, 1 in 6 children who live in the United States of America experience hunger. 1 in 6. There is an organization called Blessings in a Backpack, and what they do is we're giving to them now, and we're going to have a community, a beautiful opportunity to gather together here and also in Colorado. They put food together, because a lot of kids, these kids that are experiencing hunger, many of them, the only meals they receive are at school, breakfast and lunch. So how do they eat on the weekends? That's a really tough thing. 3-day weekends are really hard, especially. So this beautiful organization has this plan, and they gather all of this, the proteins and the fruits and the vegetables for the weekend, and they create sort of like a brown bag lunch, if you will. We will gather together and put those physically together for a particular school in Gladstone that we're going to be working with, and we're going to have a sister school in Colorado. And we deliver it to this beautiful organization, and what they do is they go to the school, and when the kids are at recess, they go in and they put the meals in their backpack, so there is no shame. Isn't that incredible? So common unity. There are so many ways to participate in the upliftment, the healing, the goodness, and the grace for everyone. Coretta Scott King said, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. We get to be compassionate with others, whether we are in a Starbucks, whether we are in a grocery store, wherever, and we get to receive compassion from others. We get to allow it to uplift us, to heal us. And I want to share with you, if right now you are experiencing some difficulty, if you are moving through a challenge in your life, illness, a diagnosis, addiction, divorce, financial hardship, if you are going through anything in your life right now, what I want you to know is you are not alone. You have a spiritual community of people, of angels that will hold you up, that will hold space for you, that will listen. Just know that you are held by this spiritual community. We have prayer practitioners here in person and online who will support you, because there ain't no mountain high enough to keep us from you. Know that. Know that. Euripides said, 2 friends, 1 soul. 2 friends, 1 soul. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, we belong to each other. This is the message for all of us. always. If we could remember that, can you imagine how different the world would look and feel and be if we all remembered that we belong to each other? Can you imagine? So I'm going to invite you to live that out into the world this week. I invite you to notice the everyday interactions that you have with people. Make those loving and compassionate moments in Starbucks or at your dental hygienist or in CVS. Make them conscious. We forget all the time the love that is around us. It is so easy to fixate on the mugshot. Let us remember the love that is around us, the love that is wanting to be experienced, the grace, which is God in action, love in action. Let us remember to make that, to anchor those moments in our memory so that you remember on Thursday what happened on Sunday downstairs when you meet someone new or when you're at Annette and John's house or online. Make those moments conscious so that you can participate in the activity and the circulation of love and peace on this planet. Are you with me? The second thing is I invite you into this conscious community even more. Listen, I'm an introvert. I happen to be an introvert that isn't very shy. I can be shy sometimes. But, growing up, I was never a joiner. My sport was gymnastics. That was like as close as I came to being on a team. I had to really learn how to be part of a group. And what I can tell you is I am forever changed by this work, by being not only in this community here in person and online, but in social justice communities, common unities. When I was younger, when my kids were younger, in parent support groups. Shelley is going to be teaching a parenting workshop coming up. When I learned that my intuition, my empathic knowing was not woo-woo or bananas, but I shared that with a lot of people. I got to be in a group with people developing intuition. That's a workshop I'm going to be offering since I outed myself the other Sunday as being an intuitive. I figure, hey, it's all God. But I went through a long time, I shared this, of feeling a little bit isolated because I had this way of seeing the world that was perhaps different from other people and other kids. And then I found my group that said, no, we hear you. We're like that too, right? This community is a community of kindred spirits. This community is authentic and real. We name it to transcend it. We share that which we feel vulnerable about so that we can get on the other side of it. That's what this spiritual community is for. That is how it serves. And what I know is that it is uplifting not only to this community, but to the world. And so I invite you, you can come to the community meeting today. You can sign up for a class or a retreat. We have our retreat dates, by the way, for the year set up. We've got our October community-wide retreat, the 13th through the 15th of October. Remember, we did a whole thing talking about the importance of Mother Nature and being in nature and how that is part of our intrinsic spirituality, that the earth is God's belly, right? And then our spring meditation retreat, which is going to be held this year at Alton Collins, is going to be May 3rd through the 5th, where we get to be in common unity. We get to be in community and learn and grow and be vulnerable and hold each other up and tell the truth about the stuff so that we can get on the other side of it in community together. And then we are having our second annual practitioner retreat this coming summer, July 5th through the 7th. So there are lots of opportunities for you to be in this community in whatever way feels comfortable for you. And if you're on the fence at all, I invite you to take a deep breath. Remind yourself that we belong to each other and that you belong. Because there ain't no mountain high enough